No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mendel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Whether you want to call it a must-win or a can't-lose, Ezra, either way, the Jets took care of business, did what they needed to do, and came out with a critical 2 points in their pursuit of a playoff spot. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all of those joining us live somewhere on the interweb, good evening to you and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Probably sucked right there because my stupid mic wasn't working, which is unfortunate.
There we go.
That was like my best intro of all time.
I just sent you a little message in our little private chat there, Dave, because I didn't think your mic was plugged in there. I wasn't going to say anything.
It was plugged in, but it was plugged in. But, I was, oh, God. You know what? Let's start all over again because that was like my best intro of all time, totally off the top. And I screwed it up by not having the mic properly. And I could see by the concern on Ezra's face that there was a problem. Well, I might have been short-circuited, but the Winnipeg Jets Hockey Club, they certainly weren't. They came to play tonight against a national team that's been spunky and has kept themselves in this, even though, as you went throughout the course of this morning, this is a team that had all rights to just say, hey, we're done. We're just going to see this. We'll see what happens next year. But that's not what they did. The Nashville Predators stayed in the fight, and they didn't pick up any points. The Jets, of course, were the ones who did. But a heck of a hockey game, Ezzy, and what were your initial thoughts on it?
Well, first off, that second period was one of the more dominant periods that we've seen from the Jets this year. And I agree with you 100%, Dave. This Predators team, even though they were sellers before the trade deadline and they don't have players like Ryan Johansson or Roman Josi or Philip Forsberg in the lineup right now. I mean, this is a scrappy group. John Hines deserves a lot of credit for keeping this team in a playoff race, quite frankly, right? Like, we didn't think, as recently as a month ago that the Jets would be, having to fight off the Predators. But, this win for the Jets, not only was it huge for them, but it really does make it difficult for the Predators to get into the playoffs. And we know that the Flames are playing the Canucks. I believe it starts in about 9 or 10 minutes, unless it's a 9:30 start. But,
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. So if the Canucks can beat the Flames, then it's just going to be that much easier for the Jets. Because as we talked about on this morning show, Dave, if the Jets could get the win tonight, which they did, and the Flames lost, then the Jets really only need to win one more game, and they're going to clinch their playoff spot. So really impressive. We'll get into the goals, but just looking at it from a macro level, I mean, the Jets were fast tonight. They were aggressive on the forecheck. They played with more of an urgency, and you actually saw wave after wave of offense, especially in the second period. So obviously, a huge goal for Mark Scheifele to open it up. And then they got the insurance marker, right? So, I mean, it could have easily been, 4 or 5-0 in this game. UC Saros is the only reason that game didn't get out of hand.
And the post.
Absolutely. And, for all the criticism, that Neil Pionk has got, what a pass by Ehlers. And again, we'll get more into the goal, but beautiful pass by Ehlers. You love to see, Neil Pionk, kind of an unsung hero, right? It's not necessarily the guy that you thought was going to get the big goal. But I think you love to see how into it the home fans were tonight, and they left happy. And it's been a slog. It's been a rough second half of the season here. But, this win, even though it doesn't clinch a playoff spot, it goes a long way in helping the Jets clinch a playoff spot in the Western Conference.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely, Ezzy, you're bang on when it comes to the description of the crowd, because they're into it. That's the way I would assess this crowd from the get-go. The True North was really loud. When Mark Scheifele scored, it sounded like the place was going to, the pressure release valve Drew's often talking about, that was there, because let me tell you, the fans, they exhaled, and they felt that the game wasn't out of reach. Of course, by that point, only a 1-0 game, despite the disallowed goal that Pierre-Luc Dubois thought he had scored. But the crowd the crowd gave the Jets a standing ovation for that 3 to 4 minute sequence where they just hemmed the Predators in their end. And that, to me, shows a level of sophistication. I'm not saying that other crowds wouldn't be capable of doing that, but you like to see that the Jets fans recognized effort. And that's what we always talk about. All Jets fans want to see is hard-working players not taking shifts off, not taking nights off. And that's what they saw. And look, the Jets have now won 3 of their last 4 games. They're on a bit of a roll. They're winning games when they needed to. You got the points against Detroit. You got the points against New Jersey. You obviously didn't get the win against Calgary, but now you come back and you absolutely, to me, I think I saw the stat. If the Nashville Predators had won in regulation, their chances were, they still weren't great. I think it was about a 65% chance of making the playoffs, Ezzy. If the Predators lost in regulation, they go down to 6%. So the Jets essentially, for all intents and purposes, put a dagger in the Nashville Predators playoff hopes. And now, of course, they're praying for their former parent club in the Vancouver Canucks, who have been playing some good hockey, to do them a favor and knock off the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, and the thing, Dave, like that I probably was most impressed with in this game, in addition to the fact that the Jets absolutely possessed the puck, with ease at times over the Predators, but the fact that even though the Jets, weren't able to convert on those early power plays, and the game was tied early, and they were getting chances, and I see a lot of people in the chat talking about, the posts and the crossbars with Ehlers, right? They stuck to their game, right? Like they didn't get frustrated. They didn't switch. They didn't deviate from their game plan. Like they badly outplayed the Predators. Let's be honest here. And they should. I mean, with the current lineup that the Jets have versus, all of the injured players and all the traded players that the Predators have, I mean, just talent will usually outwin, especially, if the work ethic and the effort is there, right? And, Connor Hellebuyck was solid, didn't have to make that many great saves, but the Jets controlled play at 5-on-5. Obviously, not a lot of power plays in this game, especially compared to the last game against the Flames, but, you absolutely love to see, the Wheeler, Ehlers, Nemesnikov line. They were really good tonight. And, Scheifele, Connor, and Dubois, like they were, basically a threat to score all the time. And Scheifele, he was engaged on the back check. And I thought Blake Wheeler, like he drew the penalty in the first period, but, he was hustling, he was back checking. So, I mean, it was an overall team effort and, a win when the Jets needed it most. And you just love to see, this team, like when Neil Pionk scored, like, you love to see guys like, Brendan Dillon and Nick Ehlers getting in there. I mean, these guys want to go into the playoffs, and they realize that they've underachieved, and it's been a tough, second half of the season. So this was a team effort. And, with the exception of, maybe a couple of missed opportunities, I think you like most of this game. This was as close to a 60-minute game, I think, as you're going to get, Dave.
I'm muted. I muted myself. I'm way off. I'm way out of control here. But Mike says Nikolai Ehlers should have been the first star of the game. I can tell you Nikolai Ehlers was the first star because we picked them. So Nikolai Ehlers, unless they changed it, which of course is their right. But we had Nikolai Ehlers as the first star of the game. So that's probably how it would have ended, would be my guess, because he was simply sensational and deceptive and just possessing the puck. And typical Nikolai Ehlers, looking like he got shot at one point when he got a stick up high. So he doesn't change, the way he plays. But again, as he, I don't want to, we don't have that many goals to go over when it comes time for the Betway game recap here. So we can have a longer preamble as we chat about that hockey game. But it was exactly, what you wanted to see from a Jets team that needed to show like, they weren't going to be lucky again about backing into the playoffs. You can get into the playoffs, you can back in, but that was, you can say, and as someone said to me, is someone in the media going to talk about that Predators roster? I'm like, okay, so this is the same roster that beat Boston, beat Vegas, and beat Carolina. So are we going to discount those wins and say that the Predators are like, I just don't understand. Do you discount it because the Predators aren't any good, but when they're beating those teams, they are good? Like, to me, that was a good Predators team. And you look, UC Soros, how many times have we seen the Jets win games that Connor Hellebuyck stole from them? I thought your UC Soros was phenomenal. I saw the point in the chat earlier as the game could have been 6-0 if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think the Predators have been talked about a lot. I mean, I'm not sure, who you were talking to or what they were.
No, and it was just some guy on Twitter messaged me and I was like, okay, bud, chill.
Well, I don't think anybody expected them to have this late season push, right? Like
right.
when you trade Matthias Ekholm and Tanner Jeannot and Nino Niederreiter and Mikael Granlund and I'm probably missing someone there, Dave, but
Yeah, it's a
they
long
made
list.
4 or 5 trades, right? And they were clearly sellers. So, and at that point, they were how many points out of a playoff spot? I think the Ryan Johansson injury, Dave, was probably, the fuel, or sorry, I guess, what would probably, I guess we got Drew coming on here.
Who the hell's that?
Well.
No, seriously, who's in the bottom corner? Who's that guy in the bottom?
Oh, the handsome man?
Yeah, what happened to him?
Drew, with all due respect, I'm hosting, and we'll be discussing that during the inanities portion of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Right now, we're discussing the hockey game. Thank you.
Carry on. I apologize. I'm going to sit here quietly.
I got a haircut, Drew. Thank you for noticing.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
I will say, though, Ezzy, that someone did say to me in the press box, hashtag no big deal, that Ezra was looking extra handsome after the haircut.
Thank you. The good folks at Magic Cuts did a great job.
There you go. That's a step up from your usual Floby hairstyling. So in that sense, that's good that you were able to get that done. Good evening, gentlemen. I thank you for.
How was the game, Drew?
Hey, I had a great time. I was going to have a great time, win or lose, because I was there with my father. So we had some quality bonding time, our first game together this year. But, from a fan's perspective, and again, it's, I think, maybe my second or third game where I've actually been in the crowd. This was a fun game. This was the atmosphere was good, as I'm sure you guys have touched on. The performance by the Jets matched the desperation that the moment called for. And that's what you want to see. And you want to see them, impose their will. And I know it's a phrasing that I use frequently on a Nashville Predators team. And they did it. And that second period was, it was actually kind of comical. How it was.
Well, the Predators barely touched the puck.
Well, it was I believe it was 95%.
Yeah, and what were the shot attempts? I think after the second
it was like
period,
80 to 29 or something.
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
something.
It was
like
insane.
Just absurd, right? So you're right, Drew. The Jets should impose their will on a team that is missing all of their star power or has traded all of their star power, right? And that was, one of their best efforts of the season, really.
That's exactly what it was. It was one of their best efforts of the season. Obviously people I think who were around me were enjoying the game, but they were also saying at the same time, where has this been for the last couple of months? Which is also a legitimate comment and completely appropriate given the team's struggles as of late. But they went out there and they absolutely did what they needed to do against the Nashville Predators team. And now you have to follow it up on Monday. You can't have any step back. You can't have any slip up, because it's not like the San Jose team is much different than the Nashville team. If this was the Milwaukee Admirals, Monday is the San Jose Barracudas.
Yeah.
So you have to have the same level. Now, is it going to be as easy to have the same level of engagement? Probably not, because it's a Monday against San Jose, not a Saturday night against Nashville when the barn is hopping. That's incumbent on the Jets to find a way to do it, because you could also feel in the building the anxiousness in that first period. There was anxiety, Dave. I know you were there. I don't know if you could feel it, but in where I was, you could feel the nervousness that everyone was sort of just saying they need to get that first goal. Everyone, we talked about.
You're talking in the first period, Drew.
I'm talking about in the first period, to start the game.
I think the fans were, though, in your section, were a little bit nervous because they were like, "Oh, the Mendells are in our section."
That's true.
We didn't realize that they were going to be at the game, so they were just like a little bit in awe.
Yeah, that's probably the case. You're right. I would agree with that, Ezzy. But look, I think it was a great night. It was a fun night. I had enjoyed myself. The team played damn well, like they should have. And if we're nothing if not honest on this program for saying, when the team deserves praise for their performance, they get it. And when they deserve slings and arrows for their performance, they get it. Tonight's the night where they get bouquets of flowers for their quality performance.
Well, and Bailey gets a puck from Ehlers. So the year of Bailey continues, right? Like, we got our Girl Guide cookies, and Bailey got her puck from Nick Ehlers, who I believe is Bailey's favorite player, or one of her favorite players. So
I think Adam Lowry's her favorite, but I think Nikolai Ehlers is probably
Lowry and Ehlers are good buddies, right? So that makes sense.
Well, I'm sure that they were also listening to the show this morning, and they saw that Bailey was coming to the game, so they had their eyes peeled for her, undoubtedly, to make sure that they would reward her accordingly.
But to that end, I mean, even like a kid had a sign that said, Blake Wheeler, you're my favorite player. And then Blake Wheeler saw it, gave him a puck. And it really is, and Bailey, I'm sure, can attest to this, how exciting it is. The look of glee on these kids' faces when they receive a puck from a National Hockey League player is, even if you have a dead heart like Drew, it warms it up just a little bit.
Well,
So,
and I agree with you, Dave, and it's something unique to hockey, right? Like you don't see in basketball, they don't throw you basketballs before the game. At least I'm not aware of that. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's kind of a unique hockey thing, right?
yeah,
So
for sure.
So so you can see it 1,000 times. I'm with you, Dave, but those types of things, it's all about the youth, not alta cockers like us, right? So, but yeah, to Drew's point, I mean, that was a fired up Saturday night crowd. It was an angsty crowd, and the Jets delivered. Like, for all the criticism that we've thrown the Jets' way, all the disappointing losses, they stepped up, put their big boy pants on, worked hard, and got the win tonight.
Well, and now it's about scoreboard watching, because I was trying to crunch the numbers and do the math, to try and figure out, where the Jets are standings wise and how it's all going to shake out. And of course, everyone's going to be keeping their eyes tonight on Vancouver, Calgary, and everyone in Winnipeg has now become the biggest Canucks fans possible because, a Winnipeg win, or pardon me, with the Jets win tonight, if Vancouver is somehow able to upset Calgary tonight, the Jets,
they'll clinch with a win on Monday.
They clinch with a win and a Nashville loss. So they Calgary,
right, yeah. Now and then all of a sudden Nashville's 6% is gone. But you're right. For Nashville to be essentially out, they do still have to.
Right, but Nashville can be Calgary can be eliminated with a Jets victory, with a loss tonight and a Jets victory on Monday. And then if Calgary happens to do the Jets a favor at that point and beat Nashville afterwards, then Nashville could be eliminated. So it is definitely a scoreboard watching season for Jets fans and everybody else. Now, I don't know where you guys are in the course of the post-game show, given that I've sort of just barged my way in.
We're about 17 minutes in, Drew.
I did have a solid intro that Drew. Great, actually, probably my best intro. Unfortunately, my mic was unplugged, so the quality of that audio, I may have to re-record after, listen to what I said, and then just redo it for the podcast.
Fair enough in that case. But I don't know if you guys touched on, look, the Jets' best players, I thought, were their best performers tonight, which is something you also wanted to see. I mean, Nikolai Ehlers, I don't know if you guys touched on his game and the quality of the game.
We did a little bit, yeah.
Sure. But I thought he was fantastic tonight.
It's like he took a dip in the fountain of 2018, Drew.
Well, I mean,
that's how good he was. I mean, he looked like, you remember the player from that playoff run, and obviously the Jets have had a lot of success over the Predators over the years. But yeah, I mean, everything that, put it this way, everything that Ehlers does well and excellent, he was doing tonight, right? And sure, I mean, you would like to see him. I saw our buddy Garrett Hole. He was tweeting about how Ehlers wasn't playing, maybe as much as you would like to see in the third period. But I think at that point, you have other defensive-minded forwards out there that could do the job. But yeah, he was incredible, and he could have had a hat trick tonight. He was so good distributing the puck, shooting the puck, and we've always talked about that, right, Dave? We like to see a selfish Ehlers, selfish in a good way, when he has an opportunity to shoot the puck. And you saw that, right? Sure, he can distribute the puck with the best of them. But you like to see that he had kind of that shot first mentality, I thought.
Yeah. And you're right, Drew. And we did talk about it a little bit, but I mean, the play where I was fairly certain he dented the post with that slap shot. I mean, he just smoked it. So his play and the goal,
slap shots were dead, Dave.
If they are, that don't tell Nikolai Ehlers that, but he was deceptive throughout the course of this, game, and he was, as he said, he was doing things, and they all were. Like, I thought Vladislav Nemestikov had a great game. I thought Blake Wheeler played well. Really, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Pierre-Luc Dubois, they looked good, and even the fourth line, I don't know how much time they actually played. It felt like they were fairly limited, but again, that stretch of the 3 minutes.
Morgan Barron 8:23, Stenlund 9:05. Of course, Stenlund gets a little bit of special teams time as well.
Yeah.
They were right around that 8-9 minute mark. Manalainen was low. He was only at 6:13.
Okay.
A lot of that has to do, there weren't a lot of power plays, right?
No, I think the Predators had one power play in the course of tonight's game on the Dylan DeMello boarding penalty.
That goon, Dylan DeMello.
Yeah, you're right, Drew. Nashville had one, Jets had three.
Yeah. Again, which I think is to the Jets' advantage in this game. It was played primarily at 5-on-5, and when the Jets did have the power play, I thought their power play at times was dangerous. It didn't obviously score, but it was not the tire fire that we've been used to seeing. They had good zone time and good opportunities, especially in those first period power plays.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point, and it's something that the chat was saying, and I completely agree. And you don't want it to get lost. Sometimes it's like, when it doesn't result in a goal or an assist or something that is super significant, it tends to get lost in the flow of the game. But I did think that the power play looked pretty good, and I thought that they were dangerous. I thought they had really good opportunities. They really minimized the unnecessary plays. I mean, there were still a few, but for the most part, I really liked the way they distributed the puck to each other and created for each other. So the power play was good, even if it was unsuccessful. But you liked the way they did it. And like I said, you pretty much liked that entire game. I mean, it was easy the first period was a tentative kind of feeling each other out to see who was going to make a mistake. And then by the second period, the Jets are like, okay, we're going to take control of this game. And they did for the entirety of those 20 minutes.
And we have to talk. Sorry, Drew. I was just going to say, it was mentioned on the broadcast quite a bit by Jamal Mayers, who I think is really making a good name for himself as a color commentator, by the way. I really enjoyed him. I think he nailed it when he was mentioning how active the defense was. And that's no surprise. If you've watched the Jets defense this year, Rick Bowness has been preaching that since training camp. And it wasn't just Josh Morrissey, who obviously, factored into the Scheifele goal by kind of being a decoy, but, and Neil Pionk, but you saw Dylan DeMello had a really good scoring chance in the first period. So I just wanted to mention that. That was something that I think you really didn't see a lot against the Flames. Was that because there wasn't a lot of even strength flow like Dave was talking about? It's possible, but I thought that was really noticeable. Like everybody, was getting up into the play. And that was making it really hard for the Predators. I mean, the Predators were like, sometimes when, you're getting badly outplayed, like Drew said, it's almost like they can't even get the puck. They can't even do anything. But they really couldn't. Like, there weren't a lot of points of this game where you could point to and say that, the Predators were having a lot of sustained offense.
No, they didn't.
And that was because of how well the Jets were playing. So give the Jets credit. They just weren't really letting the Predators set up and get anything going in their zone. No,
the Predators were one and done by and large, which is too often what the Jets have been. I mean, look at that shift the trio of shifts the Jets had in the second period just before the Scheifele goal that resulted, the crowd rewarded them with a standing ovation, which Dave, I saw you either tweeted about or Instagrammed about on our Illegal Curve account. It was, when do you ever see a team get hemmed in, not for one line change, but like the multiple line changes in that sequence? It was incredible to watch. Again, that's how it should be. That's how it should have been. We talked about that this morning. At 5-on-5, the Jets needed to control this game, and they did so. I mean, I don't know that I've seen a possession number at 88.37% at 5-on-5 in a period this game. That's what it was in the second period. It was 88.37%, which is so incredibly one-sided that
Nashville's expected goals were -10 in the second period.
Drew, you're absolutely right, and like we touched on it a little bit throughout the course of the post-game show already, but it was remarkable. And like I said, that's why the crowd, and this is what we were talking about before you got on, but the crowd gave them a standing O, because you don't see that. You see
no wave though, Dave. You didn't get your
wave. No wave. But we did see that standing O after the play, because it's one thing to see one line make a successful change and get that through a rotation, but then to get another full line out there have them control the play for an additional 30 to 45 seconds, that's something you don't see. And I think that's why the crowd was so amped up and they were so excited because they knew what it meant, right? The Jets weren't sitting back. And that's what I liked right after Mark Scheifele scored. And I don't want to jump ahead because, like I said, we only have 2 goals to go through. But the point is the Jets didn't sit back. They didn't just rest on their laurels and say, okay, well, we got the 1-0 lead. Hellebuck's playing well. We'll get him to get the shutout. They kept pushing. And despite the fact that Saros, I mean, there could have been a little bit in their head, right? They're hitting posts, hitting crossbars. Saros is making all the saves. He kept making all the stops. Well, he kept making all the saves. And then you're thinking to yourself, but that's what they needed to do. And that's exactly what they did do, is that they pushed and they continued to try and add to their lead. So you really liked what they did throughout the course of that second period. There was no letdown. As you just described in the numbers, there's absolutely no letdown from this Jets club.
Yeah,
well, Dave and I, Drew, we give you a hard time sometimes when you talk
do?
about. Well, I mean,
I never noticed.
no, this is the first time, but no, but I mean, like, when you talk about imposing your will, and when you talked about, the Flame game and how the Jets, and I agree with you, and when they were playing more like a team that didn't want to lose as opposed to a team that wanted to take over the game and really seize the opportunity,
That's right.
and everything like that. That was really, tonight was what you wanted to see against Calgary, especially in the third period, right? So Dave's 100% right. Like, you love how they stayed aggressive. They didn't change the game plan. And that's something that we've seen far too often, especially in the second half of the regular season.
Yeah.
That the Jets from period to period, I mean, it's Jekyll and Hyde, right? Like, you see a team that, is firing all cylinders, putting a lot of rubber on the net, aggressive on the forecheck, doing everything well. And then you see a team that, goes 10 minutes without a shot. Like, how many times this year have we seen that, right? So I think you love the fact, that the Jets really, stomped on the throat of the Predators. And that's what you have to do in game 79 when you're trying to lock down a playoff spot, right?
That's
so,
right.
I mean, you don't like that it's taken this long to see that type of effort. But if they play anything close to that, Drew, they're going to beat the Sharks, no problem.
Well, and the question is, can they match that again on Monday? That's been the problem. That's been the inconsistency. That's been what's bedeviled this team, and that's what gets everyone so frustrated. Is can they do what they did tonight on Monday against another weaker opponent when maybe the hype?
Who got, by the way, absolutely pumped by the Oilers tonight.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what's happening to them. That's what good teams are doing to bad teams. That's what the Leafs did to the Canadians tonight, 7-1.
By the way, did you see? I got to give the credit to Sheldon Keefe. He put in the University of Toronto goaltender in for the final minute and 10 seconds. They had to
Alexander.
Due to cap reasons, they had to call.
Stephen Wino's going to have to update his book now.
Yeah, they signed him and to an ATO, and he got the final minute and 10 in the game. I mean, I got to give. That's something that never would have happened years ago, and I love actually seeing that.
I love it
happen.
too. Yeah. Why not? Like, there's no reason.
Oh,
not
make
to.
the guy's life. I mean, he's going to be able to say he's an NHL player.
Yeah, that's right. There's no question, and it's a great thing to do. Chris Weidman on the Montreal Canadiens didn't like it though. His response was, they'll get what they deserve. They being the Leafs will get what they deserve in a few weeks. I'm like, relax, dude. It was 7-1. You were losing. You don't really have much of a leg to stand on here. And yeah, I know it was a little bit of
that's being a poor sport.
That is being a little bit of.
I mean, the game's over. Like, there's no reason not to do that. Like, it's a good story. The people that try to make a good story a bad story. I mean, obviously, we know why they're doing that. Most likely, it's to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I like that, Dave. I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't know that. But I think that's the type of, honestly, to be honest with you, that's the type of stuff, the good news stuff in hockey that needs to be talked about as opposed to the continuous negativity that we see, right? So I think Chris Weidman needs to take a chill pill there.
I would agree with you there about the need for a chill pill. What I also wanted to talk about tonight, which I really noticed, is I thought the Jets' back pressure was tremendous. Yeah. The number of plays that were broken up, not that the Predators had a lot of zone time in the offensive zone, but the number of plays that the Jets forwards came back and intercepted or got sticks in passing lanes and deflected the potential dangerous opportunities away harmlessly was terrific. I mean, we talked about it this morning. We read that quote from Blake Wheeler about, the attention to detail and things of that nature. And the Jets' attention to detail was tremendous. They didn't get away from that. You saw it for the entirety of the 60 minutes. They were active, in their own zone. The forwards were low. They were getting in there. They were winning puck battles. It was just a quality performance by a Winnipeg Jets team that needed a quality performance, and they didn't change their game. They didn't chase their game. They didn't all of a sudden try and have one guy try and win it on an individual basis. They stayed with it through that tentative first period before they were finally able to break through in that second period. Why don't we get into it? Are you guys ready to get into it? Let's get into it. It's the Betway game recap on this Saturday night. It's brought to you by our friends at Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. And of course, the title sponsor here of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds, what are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. No scoring in that first period. The Jets had 2 power plays. The Predators had 1 power play, but no goals were scored by either team. Shots on goal in that first period, as we talked about, very much a feeling out period. 8-7 for the Predators. I thought the Jets got better as the period went on after the Predators had a little bit of an early advantage, but I don't think any of them were what I would describe as high danger chances as far as I can remember back. The Jets do open the scoring, and you just feel it go finally. It took almost the entire period. It took until the 15:06 mark of that second period. Mark Scheifele, number 40. Congratulations to him. That's an impressive number, no matter who you are. 40 goals for Mark Scheifele, assist of Vlad Namestnikov and Josh Morrissey. And it was just all Jets all the time. And you got the feeling it was eventually going to happen. And it finally does sort of deflect in off of Saros, who gets a part of the shot, but not enough of it. And it finally squeaks over the line to give the Jets the much needed 1-0 lead, Ezzy.
Yeah, and you mentioned Namestnikov. He makes a nice little drop pass because Scheifele's doing some work, and I forget who it was that was chasing him, but it was a really nice little drop pass to Namestnikov around the blue line. And yeah, some space opens up. I mentioned this earlier. I'm not sure, Drew, if you had jumped on yet, but Josh Morrissey was so active in the Predator zone. I think it was Michael McCarron that was checking Josh Morrissey, so you had to respect that, and Scheifele kind of used that to his advantage. I believe it was the fourth line. I think it was, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been Mark Jankowski, who's a center, who was chasing Scheifele, but I just like that he saw that opening, went down down the slot.
It was Jankowski was on the ice.
Jankowski was the fourth line, so obviously a mismatch with the Jets' first line against the Predators' fourth line, but yeah, nice little pass, and just, you love to see that with Scheifele, and I thought, he had such a nose for the net tonight, and he was going to the quote unquote dirty areas, and it was just a nice shot. And as you mentioned, Saros got a little piece of it, but obviously not enough.
No, not quite enough to give that Jets the 1-0 lead that they so desperately needed and deserved as well, Dave, for their dominant play in that second period.
Well, and remember, Mark Scheifele could have had his 40th earlier on that beautiful slap pass by Nikolai Ehlers. I think that was on the power play in the first period, where he just made an absolute. And I sat there and I thought to myself, well, is that the way this game is going to go for the Winnipeg Jets? Because that's not a great sign of things to come. Because I mean, you're not going to see a more open net. And Mark Scheifele, of all the players with hands in tight, you thought for sure he's scoring that goal, but it handcuffed him a little bit, and he just put it wide. And so, yeah, you're right, Drew. I mean, it was a huge, like the sound in that building. And I know you were in the crowd, and I, of course, was high above, but like the sound, and I used your pressure valve, expression earlier, but it's the truth. The collective sigh of the fan base and the ability to celebrate a first goal, getting a first goal in that game, the Jets, even if the Jets could have come back and won that game, it was, if they'd given up the first goal, that wasn't a game they needed to be chasing. They needed to be in the lead, and they needed to, again, get the reward for doing the right things, because that to me is what we always talk about. Like we say, do the right things, eventually you get rewarded. Well, what happened today? The Jets did the right things against a national team that
they didn't get away from it. They stayed with it throughout the entire period.
That's right. So they didn't get away from the reward. The carrot was the Mark Scheifele goal, but the other reward was that they controlled the play. Yeah. And if Rick Bowness might have to show them the entire period if he wants to show them good things from the game. He'll be like, let's just watch back that second period, because almost everything you guys did, obviously not 100%, was something that was what they would want them to be repeating throughout the course of a hockey game, because it was good.
And another thing too, further to our point, talking about not taking the foot off the gas and whatever other cliches we could throw in there, but it's true, right? Like Colton Sissons, he had to take a tripping penalty on Morrissey because it was a nice rush, kept his feet moving, And then I think it was Ehlers on that power play hits the crossbar, right? If I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, again, the Jets should have, before Scheifele's goal, they probably should have had a couple already, and then they continue and almost get another one, right? And obviously they, didn't score a second goal in the second period, but, they were playing really well. I think, like, I was really impressed. Going into this game, I thought the Jets were going to win, and we talked about it on this morning show. We thought it was going to be low scoring. The Jets were doing everything they could, to put in a lot of goals past Saros, but this was impressive. And Drew's right. I mean, you have to continue this against San Jose, and we'll remind everybody the Sharks have defeated the Jets twice this year. I think most fans haven't forgotten that, but maybe some have. But I think this is what you needed, right? So you can only you're going to enjoy this if you're the Jets, but obviously that you got to clinch. You still have to clinch, and that could happen as early as Monday night.
Yeah, it can happen as early as Monday night if the Jets perform in the way that they need to perform. You're right about that. Go on, Dave.
Just quickly, I want to jump off of Doug Henderson's comment here, which I've highlighted. He says we didn't take any undisciplined penalties. Well, Doug, we're not playing in the game, so of course we didn't take any penalties. But if he means the Jets, which I think
Doug
he does,
Doug speaks for the Jets. We means the Jets.
He does, yeah. So, anyways, although I want to answer Rob's question about Rutger McGroarty. Rutger McGroarty is not a one and done. He's already declared he'll be going back to Michigan. Sorry, I just want to get that in because I saw out of my side view.
Well, you had speculated that yesterday, I think 2 days ago, Dave, and then Marat, our good friend, confirmed it, and that makes sense. I mean, I would be pretty surprised if he plays after the second year. Yeah, but I would expect him. If you're a Jets fan, and you're kind of wondering, I would imagine he's going to sign his entry-level deal a year from now.
That's right. Yeah, he had a very good freshman season. I think he was like 39 points in 39 games.
Point per game, yeah.
That's right. And he needs to be back in Michigan. And I think they said they might be the captain next year. And so he has a real good sophomore year.
Greg Button said that on our show today, Dave. See, there's so many things going on.
Yeah.
I forgot that it was
true. I'm like, I heard it somewhere. Craig Button on our show, a little thing called the Illegal Karaoke Show. If you didn't get a chance to listen to it, download it.
Maybe also because the Jets really haven't had any players play at the University of Michigan, so you're kind of confused. That's true. It's this new program that we've never heard of.
Exactly. Good point by you. But anyways, so getting back to Doug Henderson's point, because I think it's a good one. The Jets didn't take any undisciplined penalties. I thought, obviously the Dylan DeMello one, notwithstanding, I guess, because, it is what it is. It was a bit of a cross check. But again, the Jets were smart. They stayed within it. They got into it a little bit. There was some physicality, but they didn't go beyond what they were, what was kind of the threshold of the referee crew. So, again, staying out of the box, playing 5-on-5, which is a point Drew made, look at the last game. There's no flow. And the Jets have been playing, some good hockey 5-on-5, going back to the Detroit game, going back to the New Jersey game. That's the way they wanted to play. You don't want to kill the flow of the entire game, and they didn't tonight. And as a result, I think that we saw that second period. We saw the second period, and that's great. And like you guys have just said, you got to keep it going on Monday, but we got to focus right now our attention on tonight's game.
Absolutely. Looks like an update from Vancouver. The Canucks opened the scoring 1-0 over the Calgary Flames, which is of course what people in Winnipeg want to see in that game. Does anybody know where the Frozen Four is being broadcast?
Tampa Bay.
No, Florida. I know where it is. What channel is it on? Because I think it's going into overtime, and I'm trying to find it on TSN, and I can't seem to.
I didn't realize you were a big Quinnipiac fan, Drew.
Well,
there is that kid who's playing on Quinnipiac, who I think he was the one who helped end Michigan season, or BU. Did they not go BU? No, they knocked out Michigan.
Were you thinking when Elliot was talking about Matthew Neese tonight? You're thinking, why isn't he talking about Rutger McGroarty, right?
I wasn't thinking about anything because I was busy coming home from the game, so I missed whatever.
Well, I guess you didn't see that, but University of Minnesota,
TSN Plus,
a few good players. Logan Cooley's been unbelievable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, I thought it was on regular TV.
Anyways, I was going to say there's a kid who's
we don't work for TV Guide, Drew.
There's a kid who's coming to Jets development camp on that Quinnipiac team who had, I think, 2 goals against Michigan, and so
Quinnipiac's just fun to say. Like I could say it
Quinnipiac
all day long. Quinnipiac.
Guys go. It's maybe a side gig for you guys. Is just saying Quinnipiac over and over again.
What does Quinnipiac mean, Drew? Like it's a very unique. Like is that a person or what is that?
I really am not
What's
sure.
the origin of Quinnipiac?
Well, now you're going to
Well,
make me Google.
They're in
that,
Connecticut,
so-
Ezzy. Private university in Connecticut.
Oh, I thought Quinnipiac was New York. I knew it was East Coast.
It's an Ojibwe word that means original people, according to my quick Googling thereof.
See,
There you
it's a unique word meaning original people.
There you
Like
go. So there you have it. There's
It's
your.
probably my favorite university aside from Colgate.
I was gonna say, come on, Ezzy. We all know you love Colgate.
Yeah.
I thought you were more of a Crest guy, but anyways, it's neither here nor there.
Let's be honest. I use my kids' Paw Patrol toothpaste.
It's probably the case. The Jets leading 1-0.
We got it. Sorry, Kyle's asking, are we coming to the Kenny and Rennie end of season party, which Kenny and Rennie are going to be hosting? Our plan is, most likely we'll be there. We, unless we got beef, we are invited. Sean's already told it.
Crash it, right?
I didn't get an invite.
Sean, whoa. Sean invited all of us. Told me, I forgot to tell you guys, but I was gonna conveniently forget. Oh, sorry guys, I don't know what happened to your invitation, but just so folks know,
Kyle,
it's not.
We'll be there. We'll be hitting the beer bong.
It will not be. Did you say the beer bong? It will not be after the till after the season ends. So
okay, well, let me just tell the folks this: still to be determined.
Oh,
the specifics still being worked on, and incumbent largely on the Jets actually making the playoffs. But stay tuned for some information about a live watch party of one of the first 2 Jets playoff games, which will obviously be on the road, and a live broadcast of the post-game show.
Whoa! This is breaking news to Drew, to Ezzy and I as well.
Just some breaking news. We got.
No.
That's right. The details.
We have a party to announce.
The details are still to be determined, but so you folks know, just prepare yourselves mentally for those details coming down your way very shortly. Dependent on the Jets, of course, finally making the playoffs and the schedule and everything else. But stay tuned.
So, Drew, are you saying that we're going to be broadcasting live from the hot tub in Sage Creek with Spency Sutton?
Well, Spency did just say tarps off at the watch party, so
Spency's already in that case. But no, just stay tuned for more details about that, folks. 1-0 for the Jets after 40 minutes, and Dave, you spoke to it about the need to come out in the third period and match what you did in the second period, and the Jets did that, and they did it early. At the 1:36 mark of that third period. And this is, as important as the first goal was, the second goal was equally important. Neil Pionk, his 10th of the year, assist to Nikolai Ehlers and Blake Wheeler. And, Pionk gets the goal, but it's just fantastic play by Nikolai Ehlers. He starts the play. He carries it in through the neutral zone. He retrieves his own it wasn't even a dump in. It was more of a chip and chase that he goes and gets it himself. And he's got the vision to see Pionk as the trailer and hits him tape to tape. And then Pionk makes no mistake going the top shelf to beat UC Saros and give the Jets an all-important 2-goal lead early in that third period, Ezzy.
Yeah, and, I agree with you that it was a great – it's funny because I thought Ehlers originally lost the puck, and it almost looked like he passed it to himself. I'm pretty sure
he did. No, he did.
Yeah,
absolutely
he
did.
meant to do
no
that.
Question.
But when you were watching it live, Dave, I'm sure you maybe thought the same thing, or up in the press box, our colleagues thought the same thing, right? It was like he was stick handling and lost it a little bit, but just a smart play. And obviously the pass is just elite. But also earlier in the play, Wheeler takes a hit, and I was just trying to figure out who it was on the replay. I couldn't tell who it was. But Wheeler takes a hit to get it to Ehlers, and that just speaks again, guys, to what the Jets were doing today, right? Like sacrificing their bodies, like all of those cliches, everything that hockey players are told to do by their coaches. That's the type of stuff that the Jets were doing, right? And again, that's kind of what you wanted to see in that third period against the Flames, which you just didn't see. There just wasn't, the requisite effort from the Jets. So, love what Ehlers did on that goal. And just, again, going back to Neil Pionk, he obviously has not had the season either offensively, or even though his offensive numbers are actually really good.
Up to double digits now.
Yeah, and so you just love that. And I just love the celebration. Like, for the most part, I don't care about the celebration, but we talked about Scheifele's 40th in the second period. Like, the weight was lifted off of his shoulders, and it was an emotional release for him, right? So it was an emotional release for Pionk and the rest of the Jets that were on the ice, like Ehlers and Brendan Dillon, right? So a huge goal, that was the insurance goal that the Jets needed, and it was early in the third period, and it gave them some breathing room, guys, right? Because even though we talked about it, the Jets had 300 shot attempts in the first two periods, they only had one goal. So it was nice to get the early insurance goal, and then they obviously didn't look back from there.
That's right.
Well, just to quickly jump onto this one, because the deceptiveness of Nikolai Ehlers on that play is all that needs to be talked about. Nice goal by Neil Pionk. You give him credit. Went top corner. It was a beauty. But for him to do what he did, the way he went around the D, and you're right, it was like, I didn't know. Originally, I thought he bobbled it and he just got it back. Then I realized when I watched it again, no, he intended to do that. That was an intentional play to get himself the puck and to allow himself to have a little space. The way he was weaving and bobbing in traffic today was sensational. The whole game. The whole game he was doing it. But
the play
Drew, it was more important that he was doing it with a purpose.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't just going east, west, north, south, south, north, north, east. But anyways, the point is, he wasn't just doing it chaotically. He actually was attacking, and he was doing it with a purpose. And again, I thought that was his best game of the season by far. I thought he was phenomenal throughout the course of the game, but especially on that, and as he's right, and that to me is what hit it. If you get that, if you have a 1-0 lead and you don't get that goal early in the third period, oftentimes they say you want to get the goal a little bit later, because you don't want to take the foot off the gas. The Jets needed that, because even though they played well, we've seen teams play really well and then take a step back, but that's not what happened here. The Jets came out the Nashville had a good press the first minute, and then the Jets took over and they did what they did, and they got that goal, and that just continued throughout the course of the game. And then really, to my mind, and we should talk about the disallowed goal at some point, but the one thing that we, which obviously happened earlier in the game, but
I didn't think that was that obvious of a no goal. Like, it was obvious that the refs wanted to blow the whistle, Dave, and you were there, but it looked like the initial shot, the chance was maybe under Saros's pad.
Yeah, he was just behind him.
Yeah, but Dubois clearly, I mean, like, that was late after the whistle, even though the whistle didn't. That was a late whistle, but I mean, to me, there was some gray area there. But again, the goal, it didn't matter because the Jets still won. But Jets fans, you would know better than I would, guys. But Jets fans were not happy with that one.
Well, and by the way, I think my favorite part of the post-game show by far, I know Drew's champing at the bit to give the announcement, but it's so funny that the chat is so excited. So now everybody's a Canucks fan. It's 2-0 for the Canucks. Everybody's excited. Everybody's cheering. But no, going back to what would have been the 2-0 goal, like that segue, if would have been a 2-0 goal for the Jets, and you want to talk about ref, you suck, and it was loud. Look, I just don't like when the refs stay behind the net in that way, because he just essentially said, like, Saros didn't have it. Like, it was under Saros, but it was still somewhat, free. And Dubois gave it a good shove. I don't know. Like I said, I asked people I got the consensus. Shockingly, for most of the Jets fans and Moose fans who follow me, most thought it was a goal. So I was willing to go. I was willing to go with the mob in that regard. But look, I mean, like, the reality is the ref said it was an intention to blow the whistle, and that's the reason why they disallowed it.
Yeah, look, they lost sight of the puck. I mean, in that case, to me, that wasn't controversial.
Have we mentioned it's 2-0 Vancouver?
We were.
I literally just did.
Yeah, 2-0 Vancouver.
Did you? I honestly must have not been paying attention.
I can always see when you're not paying attention, so I knew you weren't 100% certain. But yeah, no, I was
looking at chicken recipes on my other browser, Dave.
I was saying the Jets fans in the chat are so excited to drop the score, so we always know. So even if we don't have to, Drew's fancy second screen is completely superfluous because the chat is letting us know what the score is.
2-0, Elias Pettersson getting his 38th of the season, a shorthanded goal, doing Jets fans certainly a big favor, giving the Canucks a 2-0 lead. But we know how the Flames like to frequently.
I was going to say this game. Anybody want to bet that this game's going to overtime?
Yeah, it's you can't count these Flames out as of late. Although they tried to stage the comeback against the Blackhawks, and that did not work out well for them. I guess that would have been Tuesday night, if my nights
feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah. And anyway, 2-0 for the Jets early in the third period, pardon me. Again, You love how they came out. You love the play that the Jets controlled the third period, really for the most part. And it certainly wasn't until maybe the last 5-6 minutes of the third period where Nashville started to push a little bit more and maybe get a little bit of zone time. The Jets were the better of the two teams for the game. And the better of the two teams won tonight. And Connor Hellebuyck gets that shutout that was so close to getting on, what would that have been, last Monday against the Devils.
One of the easier shutouts of his career. But again, that's a testament to how the Jets played in front of him, right?
No question about it. The huge win for the Winnipeg Jets, 2-0 on home ice in front of a very happy crowd in downtown Winnipeg. The Jets next in action on Monday. I believe it's a 6 o'clock puck drop on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So it's an early game for television-related purposes because it's a sports night.
It's not a good dad time, Drew. You know that I like the 7 o'clock time a lot better.
It's not a great dad time. It's right. It is a 6 o'clock start on Monday. So post-game on Monday will be bright and early, right around 8:15 or thereabouts back here, or not 8:15, sorry. Yeah, 8:30, 8:45 back here on our
When I left my house to drive to Dave's house for the third period, Ruben was still awake.
Well, it just sounds like bad parenting, if you ask me.
No, he just doesn't like to go to bed. He likes to party like his dad.
Yeah, like I said, bad parenting. Like I just said, I'm pretty sure. You could.
So you just called John Ginsburg a bad parent.
Drew, I have, I think at least 2 cups that say I'm the world's greatest dad, or one of them says #1 dad. So
isn't that a T-shirt that you wear too?
My coffee cup argues with that point that you made.
Fair enough. In any event, hopefully your son is asleep now that it's 20-10, and otherwise your wife is probably going to murder you when you get home. Is the reality of the situation. Let's go to break on this post-game show edition of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
How's it already 51 minutes in? I can't believe it. I was like, boy, that seems like a quick break by Drew, but 51 minutes in.
It is 51 minutes in. We have much more to come. We'll give some post-game quotes. Keep an eye on the Canucks and the Flames, of course, and contests,
5-0 Vancouver,
giveaws, and things of that nature.
And
a Manuk Moose Minute, of course, as well. Is that what you were pointing at?
That's right, Drew.
Okay.
That's why I was hoping you weren't going to join us tonight. I was just going to do a Manuk half an hour.
Understood, but I'm here.
So why is this night different than any other night?
Don't go anywhere is what we're saying. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show, live on YouTube and all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No
Yep.
way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. 9:45 in the evening. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. We're live here on our YouTube channel. We're live on all of our social media platforms talking about the Winnipeg Jets 2-0 victory over the Nashville Predators. A boon and a boost for the Jets' playoff hopes. And obviously, time will tell what it actually means, but we keep a close eye on all of the other games still being played tonight and other things of that nature. Quinnipiac has just won in overtime.
Oh, wow.
10 seconds into overtime, they won the national championship. So congratulations to them on their victory in the NCAA tournament. Dave M is updating some of the contest stuff, so we'll get that over to you momentarily. Let me see some post-game quotes. I think I saw a couple here that I wanted to make mention of, courtesy of our buddy Murat Atesh. Let's see if I had found it earlier and I would have prepared myself, that would have been smarter, but here we are on this night. Rick Bowness talking about Mark Scheifele's game-winning goal. He hit the post a couple of times. He had some great looks, but we stayed in the fight, and Mark's goal was a perfect example of that. Just stay in it. Stay in the moment. Stay shift to shift. And he gets a very timely goal for us. So that's Rick Bowness talking about Mark Scheifele. It's the stay shift to shift part that jumps out to me the most, Ezzy, because the Jets really did that tonight. They stayed in it shift to shift. They didn't get away from their game, which is what we talked about this morning with that Blake Wheeler quote saying, you have to be patient. You have to not become undisciplined. And that, to me, for a Jets team that has frequently sort of maybe lost a little bit about their discipline, they didn't lose that at all tonight. And that was a big reason why they ended up with that 2-0 victory.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I think that, sometimes, when we're talking about either pre-game comments or post-game comments, you're taking them with a grain of salt, and, you'll say actions speak louder than words, right? But I think that really does apply here. The Jets, practice what they preached. And that's the type of effort that we saw in the first 35 to 45 games of the season. And, I think it bodes well, for what's going to happen, on Monday, Tuesday, and, all of next week, right? They want to go to the playoffs. I don't think anybody, I don't think anybody is, surprised with that. I think that, the effort in the third period just wasn't good enough. It didn't match, what the Flames were putting out there. And the Flames are a physical team. That's one thing too. This was not a physical game. You had, a few body checks, but for the most part, the Predators were, just trying to get the puck back from the Jets and get something going offensively. So, I think from top to bottom, you like this effort. You like the fact that, even Kevin Stenlund got a scoring chance, in that second period, right? So, and they didn't play that much. So the Jets were disciplined. they were very focused and, opportunistic. And even though they weren't scoring as much as they would have liked, putting all of that rubber on UC Saros, 20 shots in the second period, they stuck with it, got rewarded. And, they don't care that they only got 2 goals. They got the win in regulation, and, they essentially, knocked the Predators out of the playoffs with tonight's win.
Certainly a big blow to the Predators' playoff chances, Dave M.
Yeah, they're down at a solid 6%. And the one thing that is worth mentioning or adding
So
on
you're
to,
saying there's a chance, Dave. That's what you're saying.
Very, very.
I'm here to tell you, Predators fans, it's over.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hang on, if that's a Ginsburg guarantee, I'd like to welcome the Nashville Predators to the playoffs.
Oh, hold on a second. I just realized I got a haircut today, and the Jets won.
What's your point?
That's neat.
Oh,
interesting.
Congratulations.
It was just a joke.
Dino, for the record, Dino is talking about Cole Perfetti, and he's wondering whether Cole Perfetti could play for the Moose in the playoffs. Now, Cole Perfetti can play for the Moose. He won't have enough time because the Moose are the reason he's talking about it. We should mention is because for those who weren't paying attention,
playing for the Jets in the playoffs.
Well, there you go. But it might need the second or third round for that. As we mentioned on the morning show, he took part in morning skate in a red non-contact uniform, and Rick Bowness said he is still a few weeks away, so he won't be available anytime soon. And the reality is, because he wasn't papered at the trade deadline, he is not available to play for the Moose unless it was on a conditioning stint in the regular season, but he's not available for the Moose to play in the playoffs. The only person who was is actually Johnson Fielby. So if and we talked about it, it's not really clear why he hasn't been sent down, to just play some hockey as opposed to just practicing. But there's my little segue into what I was going to say off Vezzy's point, but sometimes the chat has some good comments, so we jump off of them. But was it a nice stick from Morgan Barron to set up that 2-on-1? It was a really nice play defensively in the Jets zone.
Mm-hmm.
Used as an active stick to poke that puck away and then create that chance with Kevin Stenlund. So a nice reward for those guys too, who, as we talked about, didn't have a ton of minutes.
No, they didn't. Another quote from Rick Bowness on Neil Pionk's goal. That's a timely goal. They're coming into the third period. They're down 1-0. They say, hey, we've got a chance here. So that's a huge timely goal for our team that kind of took the wind out of their sails early. He's absolutely right. I did not, when it's a 1-0 game, things happen in 1-0 games. Pucks get deflected, double bounces, and weird things happen. But when it was 2-0, I did not for a second think Nashville was going to be able to come back from that deficit. That's why it was such a huge goal for the Jets early in that third period, set up by Nikolai Ehlers onto the stick of Neil Pionk to make it a 2-0 game. And that's how it ended. The Jets get the shutout. Connor Hellebuyck gets the shutout. The Jets get a huge victory on home ice, the final Saturday of the regular season. And the Jets have gone a long way to make sure that it's not necessarily the final Saturday of their season.
Just quickly answer Frosty. He said, how is it that we have 25 guys on the team? Isn't that too over the limit? The limit is only in effect during the trade deadline. As long as you are cap compliant, yes, then you are fine. So as long as the Jets stay below 81 million, they're fine. They can have, we saw when they were injured and they didn't put guys on LTIR, they had like 28 or 29 guys on the roster. So your roster doesn't matter as long as it's compliant with the cap. Just a little FYI for the question for Frosty.
There you go. Well, Dave M, look at you, cap friendly, representative here on the Illegal Curve.
Wow, I mean, we write about it and talk about it enough. I have to have some limited knowledge.
It's true. That makes a lot of sense. I just want to clarify one thing. I see a lot of talk in the chat about the standings and where things are at. Let me just figure this out. And if the Jets victory,
get up the abacus, Drew.
Well, I'll tell you what, it isn't.
No, it's easy. If the Flames lose tonight, the Jets just need to win one game.
No, it's not that. Well, yeah, not that simple because Nashville is still not completely out of it.
Well, yeah, but
the Jets, the earliest the Jets can clinch is Monday night. If the Jets win,
it is that easy, Drew. In terms of if you take Nashville out of the equation, because they have 6% chance of getting in.
Still have. I'm talking about I'm talking about clinching, not percentages. I'm talking about Ezzy. Wasn't that long ago the Jets had a 98% chance of making the playoffs.
Okay, so I'll shut up.
Thank you. I'm talking about when can you put an X next to the Winnipeg Jets name? It could happen as early as Monday if Calgary were to lose tonight to Vancouver, and the Jets then beat the Sharks on Monday, and then Calgary beats Nashville. So the Jets actually want Calgary to beat Nashville, on Monday if Calgary loses tonight.
And then Dave and I have to also go see the Super Mario Brothers movie. Then the Jets will officially clinch.
There you go. I don't know about that second part, but that's where the numbers are at with regard to the upcoming playoff chase. The Jets, did what they needed to do tonight in order to maybe get a step closer to making Tuesday and Thursday against Minnesota and Colorado potentially meaningless. And boy, would that be a boon to them. Dave M., and you've waited patiently. Let's do a Manuk Moose Minute, and then we'll wrap it up with the contest stuff on the other end of that.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Manuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Manuk.
Wow. I got a little additional Manuk from Ez. The Moose, a big slide. Big slide. Biggest slide that they've had since 2019-20, and that's not a good slide. Sometimes slides are fun, Ez. This is not a good fun slide. They had lost 5 straight going into their final game of the homestand, final home game of the regular season, which also doubled as their fan appreciation game. Tons of giveaways. Players at the end of the game gave away sticks to fans and pucks. And throughout the course of the game, the Moose were giving things away. Over 5,500 Winnipeggers, Manitobans piled into the building to watch that hockey game. And it was a good hockey game. Just a couple of changes. Arvid Holm got the crease from Oskari Salminen, and Evan Polai came out. Tyler Bolin came in, and Tyrell Bauer was in, and Simon Lundmark was out. Made some changes to the lineup, which was probably a good thing because the lines were getting a bit stagnant. The Moose handed out some hardware in advance of the final regular season game. The MVP of the team, Declan Chisholm. The fan favorite, Jansen Harkins. Rookie, Dean Stewart, which is weird because he's like 24. Best D-man.
From Portage, right?
Portage La Prairie. Leon Gavanke, and community service captain Jimmy Olney.
Do we want to discuss how somehow the MVP and the top defenseman are not the same person?
Question.
I was thinking that too, Drew.
Yeah,
it's a fair question. I don't have an answer because I'm not. We don't work for the Moose, although technically I did color last night, so I kind of worked for the Moose yesterday. But the reality is, but we don't. So I don't know. The Moose made that determination. I don't know how they made it. Maybe it was a vote. I'm not entirely certain for how the decision was made, how they came to it. Maybe that'll be an expose we'll run on illegalcurve.com. But I'm not exactly certain how they did it. But I know that some folks were saying to me, how can you blend best defenseman and not be the MVP? Or how can you be the MVP, not be the best defenseman? But maybe they gave it to Leon because he's got the most goals. Not necessarily certain. Nice save, by the way, by the Moose fans, because the anthem singer, who did a really nice job, she forgot a word in the U.S. anthem, and it's funny because I caught it.
Which word was it?
I don't remember. It was like early on, but she did kind of like a half turn.
Starts with O.
Yeah, but she did a half turn, and then so people thought maybe her mic died. But I was like, oh, but so the crowd, I was very impressed. The crowd started singing for her, and then she jumped back into it and she started singing. So nice little moment there in the crowd. Winnipeg coming up big, knowing the U.S. national anthem.
My wife and kids thank the crowd for doing their good job there.
What's that?
My wife and kids thank the crowd for doing a good job there.
But anyways, unlike the last few games where the Moose have started off quickly and didn't get rewarded, last night is exactly what happened. They did that because Leon Gavanke, who I mentioned, defenseman of the year, scored his 17th goal of the season, and he passes flying Sami Niku for most goals by a defenseman. But
it was a howitzer. It was a nice shot.
It was a really nice shot, as nice pass. And again, it was a big because the team needed. Greg Morales got him the puck, but the team needed to get some good feelings because they've had really good first periods and not gotten the reward. But he doesn't have the record because he tied Brett Hauer for most goals by defenseman. Brett Hauer had it with the Manitoba Moose of the IHL.
That's going way back.
20 years ago. So 20 years ago, Brett Hauer had that record. So Sami Niku's record is the AHL record. This is the Moose record for most goals by defenseman. Leon will most likely, pass that this week as
is that when Vincent Riendo was in net for the Moose?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not entirely certain who was in net.
What was his name? Jonas Hedberg?
Yeah,
well, that was the Moose.
Yeah.
The Moose.
Yeah.
I
Do
know.
you remember? And then don't you remember when he went to play for the Penguins?
Yes,
in the
of course.
playoffs,
He went on the
and he was
incredible
wearing,
run for them.
he was wearing his Moose helmet
Moose
throughout the course.
helmet,
And I remember the Moose, was that the year Moose played Hershey in the finals?
No, I don't think so.
That was 2009 when Matty Perreault was on Hershey, right? That's the team.
Yeah, the reason
wasn't Corey Schneider the Moose goalie that year?
Yeah, Schneider was the goalie. Yeah,
maybe. Anyway,
in 2009.
I remember being in a Moose game though, and I remember them showing Hedberg highlights on television. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Those good times. But the point is, he tied a record from many many years ago, and unlike in the way we saw the Jets come out, it was the Grand Rapids Griffins who, if they would have lost in regulation, their season their chances of making the playoffs, would have been over. So they came out like a house on fire, outshot the Moose. I think it was like 7 or 8-0 to start, but Arvid Holm was up to the task. He stopped all the shots he faced. And then the Moose got a power play, and Dominic Toninato, who's been a producer for this Moose club, he scored his 18th goal of the year, assist to Ville Heinola and Leon Gavanke. That was his 40th point of the year. And then Jansen Harkins gave the Moose a little bit of insurance. Made it 3-1, his 22nd goal of the year, 22 goals, 22 assists. Talk about consistent for Jansen Harkins. And he made it 3-1. And they ended the nightmare. The slide was over. And Arvid Holm, he was excellent. 22 saves, 23 shots, 18, 11, and 3 for the Moose. A 2.6 GA, a 2.60 GAA, 913 save percentage. And folks were happy in Moose Land, and now they head on the road for the final regulation for regular season road trip. I believe they go to Texas and then Rockford, maybe Chicago as well. But their magic number is down to 3.
There you go, Dave M. with the Minuk Moose Minute.
We appreciate that, Dave. Get it?
And that was pretty good. I liked it there, Dave M. Ezzy, we got some content.
And by the way, for the record, I want the folks to know, not easy to try and keep you all up to date and make sure I've got all those clipped while I'm doing color beside Daniel, but I did my best and forged ahead. Although Daniel kept looking at me going, "Can you do color and not be clipping videos right now?" I'm like, "Come on, Daniel. I got to make the people happy."
I don't blame him for his request, but we appreciate your efforts nonetheless.
That's why they call Dave the king of all media, right? Or I think they call Howard Stern that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah,
something one like or the other. Yeah, Dave's going to ride the Sybian for us afterwards.
Oh boy. Okay, Drew Bailey's in the chat. Chill.
Wow, that got really dark really quickly.
Yeah.
We're going to give it to Beer League. The comment was from way back at 9:09, which is almost an hour ago. So hopefully Beer League is still watching. If he's not, or she's not, it could be a she. We'll hopefully get the toque to Beer League, but we'll read the comment here. Shots. What I like about this comment is we're going to get 2 sponsors in here. So everybody, nice to see everyone on the same game plan in that regard. 80 shot attempts, fireball time. We didn't do a fireball shot, but I think most likely we would have given it to Neil Pionk, or we're going to give it to Scheifele. Only 2 goals, but I think we'll probably give it to Pionk.
It is absolutely going to be Pionk, and they meant to do it. That is our Seagram shot of the game, combining it with our Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. You see why we're doing that? Synergy.
That's what we like to see here.
Yeah.
So Beer League, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, or if Beer League isn't here, I'm not sure if Beer League responded with a comment here that they won. But yeah, hopefully Beer League gets the message. So Ezra@illegalcurve.com. Tough Duck will send out. There we go.
Here.
Yeah, so Beer League, send me an email, and then Drew is dropping some some little surprises, some hints that we have a watch party coming up. If the Jets make the playoffs, we will have more Tough Duck merchandise, and it won't be toques. It'll be something more spring related. So I don't know, I'm not sure what that's going to be, but we will have new Tough Duck merchandise. But in the meantime, Beer League, you've got yourself a toque.
It's Tough Duck is making booty shorts for the
we're going to do booty shorts and banana hammocks. That's what we're going to have going for the playoffs, Drew. But yeah, Beer League, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve with your mailing info, and we'll get that to you.
There you go. We're going to wrap it up tonight with, of course, the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. You enter in the unique code. There's only a few more contests to go, folks, so you better get your opportunities in if you haven't already done so. Enter in today's unique code for a chance to get extra bonus entries and maybe get your name drawn. The unique code word for tonight, I'm not sure if Dave is referring to Ezzy's new haircut, Silky Smooth, or if he's referring to Nikolai Ehlers, but whatever. Wow, look at that. He's aerodynamic. I haven't seen anybody that handsome.
I was thinking both.
Time.
Shout out to Mao. She was the nice woman who cut my hair and did my beard. If anybody follows me here on Instagram, they would see how much hair.
I hope you got hazard pay.
Yeah, I basically just walked in and said, like, just fire up the weed whacker. Yeah, exactly. Shave me like a goat.
Shorn me like a sheep.
A sheep. That's what I meant to say. A sheep, not a goat.
Yeah,
you're the goat, Drew. You're the greatest of all time.
Goat. Yeah, exactly. And anyways, silky smooth, all one word. That's the unique code for the Illegal Curve contest for tonight. And the Illegal Curve merchandise winner, Dave M. Who gets the Jets gear?
Who gets the swag?
I like when you ask me, but you can see it yourself.
I know, but I like to share the love.
Nah, I think it's because it's probably a last name. Cameron Fortier.
Yeah, no, I could say Cameron Fortier. I wanted
to boy Cameron.
Cameron Fortier is the winner of the Illegal Curve merchandise contest for tonight. So big props to Cameron, doing a great job in entering the contest and getting rewarded for his viewing of us here at Illegal Curve. So that's a congratulations to Cameron. Dave M will be in touch as well, and everyone will be getting their swag in no time flat.
Yeah, Running Man, don't worry, you'll be getting it. I know some people, like Ken from North Dakota, he tweeted out his picture. People are getting their stuff. It takes a little bit of time. You know, I do try and do a few things during the day, but don't worry, I promise you will. Everyone will be getting their stuff. Sure enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
right.
You just need to get like an Amazon truck like they have, Dave. You always see those in River Heights.
Well, Ezzy, I wanted you to be an Amazon truck.
I want to go curve truck, and we'll drive around. It'll be full of balloons, and we'll just drop off all the merchandise.
Yeah, we'll be siphoning gas from all the cars as we drive past them because those things are expensive. You try to fill up a Sprinter van or something, that's expensive. You can't just do that easily.
You don't have to tell Ezzy. Ezzy drives the van. He knows all about that.
Yeah, that's a minivan. I'm talking about like a Sprinter van. One of those.
Oh, you're talking about the Sprinter,
like a delivery van. As he rolls. I was rolling in Vegas in a minivan.
You like that minivan life.
They're very convenient. They are very convenient.
Drew, let me just give you a little heads up. You're never rolling when you're in a minivan.
Yeah,
just a little FYI.
That is a good point.
My tongue was firmly in cheek when I said that.
Didn't sound like it.
No, I wasn't cruising the strip in my minivan with looking like a cool dude or anything. Don't worry.
You need to chill, soccer dad.
Yeah, that would be apropos. In any event, a very good victory for the Winnipeg Jets tonight, 2-0 over the Nashville Predators. That's it for us. It's been a very busy day here.
By the way, just as a quick aside before Drew, I'm not going to go into all the Jets prospects who are currently in playoffs, because I know that we don't have the time because actually we have the time. Let's do it. No, I'm just kidding. But go to illegalcurve.com. Actually, Drew, you can go. Ezzy and I were perfectly fine doing the show without you. But anyways, the point is go to illegalcurve.com. I got a whole prospects report if people want to know what's going on with some of the Jets North American prospects playing in the NCAA, OHL, and the WHL.
Hint, Brad Lambert is tearing it up.
Yeah, he is.
So is Dmitry Kuzmin.
Check that out, illegalcurve.com, in case you missed either.
And Dominic DiVincentis, by the way, 37 save shutout last night. North Bay Battalions win a critical Game 5, heading to Game 6, looking for a win.
There you have it. Dave M is keeping everyone abreast about what's going on. In case you missed either of the shows tonight, they're available, of course, on our YouTube channel for the immediate replay, and the podcast will be available a little bit later on tonight as well. We thank you all for joining us this morning and again tonight. We always appreciate the support. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, and leave us feedback here, there, and everywhere. Big thanks to all the sponsors who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, The Keg, Grid Park, Rolly's Transfer, Seagram's, Boston Pizza, and Tough Duck. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. We're back on Monday night, 8:45 with the post-game show after the Jets and the San Jose Sharks. We thank you all for joining us. Until then, whatever you're doing for Easter or for Passover or for whatever you're celebrating, we hope you do it safely. Thanks, everyone, for joining us this morning and again tonight. Until Monday night at 8:45, we wish you good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, Follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.